Hello everybody and welcome back to Exhausted 707 Couples Car Talk. I'm China Sky.
And I'm Noah Nevins.
We just really quickly wanted to thank everyone who listened to the first episode. It's way more people than we expected.
Got people from all over the countries, and we appreciate it very much.
So thank you guys, and thank you so much for tuning in.
Teehee. Let's get into it.
All right, so for our second episode, we are going to talk about how the automobile changed daily life and safety requirements.
Oh, you mean like seatbelts and stuff? And fire extinguishers. Well, you guess you don't have fire extinguishers.
I mean, everything that you would consider being a safety feature on a car, which I guess you're about to find out.
Doors. Airbags. Don't carry scissors in the car with you.
That's a common rule, I think.
I've heard that.
Until the 1900s, the most common way for people to get from here to there was by a horse-drawn carriage. And horse-drawn carriages could be driven by anyone of any age. Children and adults.
What?
Yeah, you could be a child and have a horse-drawn carriage.
I would never let any child be like, hey, take these two horses with this fucking all my stuff.
There were children all about with their horse-drawn carriages, all right?
Wow, I already cussed. I just realized I did that. Okay, sorry. Continue moving on.
And they cost as little as $25 to $50.
That's reasonable, I feel.
By 1910, this had all changed, and there were more automobiles than carriages. Cars were so rapidly taking over that safety laws couldn't keep up. Between 1909 and 1916, and that's just a 7-year difference, the amount of automobiles on the road had increased by over 2 million. Like, that's really crazy. You went from not ever seeing these things to in 7 years there were 2 million of them? Like, think about that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I remember in Downton Abbey, they said it was getting crowded because, shout out to Downton Abbey, great show. In the first part, I'm getting a little bit tired of it. Okay, continue on. They say that there was a lot of traffic because there was 5 cars parked outside of the bank, and they had actually passed several on the road. I was like, oh my gosh, go to LA. It'd be crazy for you.
That is crazy.
Yeah, and the homeless people would be like, what?
Well, needless to say, the driving in the early 1900s was pure chaos. People weren't really taught to drive, and there weren't really any rules. So for the first time, people could go as fast as they wanted to reach destinations. People were parking wherever they wanted, in the middle of intersections, in front of hydrants. They were speeding and turning wherever they saw fit. There are accounts of cars driving through crowds of pedestrians waiting for streetcars. There were no rules to separate the right-of-way for pedestrians or automobiles. So people, like, suddenly the amount of deaths from automobiles had increased from, like, pretty much nothing. Well, not nothing, because I'm sure there were some deaths with horse-drawn carriages. I should look up that statistic, because I don't know. If any of you know, write in and tell us.
If you want to follow us on things to write in, which we should have said in the beginning, you can follow us on Exhausted 707, Exhausted_707, but whatever, you'll find us, because we're so popular. No, I'm kidding. But we just have a viral video go.
It's a very scary voice. Very scary. Follow us or else. I can't do the scary voice. I'm not good at it.
Yeah. So you can follow us there and write into us on things. Also, if you'd like to actually write in, not even on Instagram, you can email us at exhausted707@gmail.com. Continue on. Small plug for our own shiznit.
So, needless to say, it was suddenly very dangerous. The first cars had no seatbelts, no warning lights, and drivers were not educated. You didn't need a license. There was no safety glass. Most vehicles were open, and no laws saying that you could not drive under the influence. And children at the time still widely played in the streets. Like, it wasn't like today where, kids are inside most of the time on computers and things like that, which isn't good. Kids, get back outside, but beware of traffic. But, kids would commonly play on the streets, and before this, it was a very safe thing for them to do, and suddenly people were just, going crazy, not following any rules, and it was very dangerous.
I can imagine. Jaywalking.
You're just whispering to yourself. This is a podcast, honey. You have to speak up.
Sorry. Poor children.
Poor children. That's all the thoughts we need. So, having a car speed down the street was a new development to worry about. There was also no gas stations, so you would have to acquire fuel from the apothecary. Because once again, we talked about this last episode, they still called it the apothecary.
What was an apothecary?
Like a pharmacy. But we don't really call pharmacies apothecary.
Oh, right, because there was no...
anymore.
So there's like alcohol to put in your car?
Yeah, there were no gas stations. And yeah, you would pretty much have to plan any trip meticulously. Some of the first safety precautions were driver's licenses.
Safety precaution? Oh, I guess because you had
to be like educated in getting behind the wheel.
I should really think before I talk. All right, continue.
Like imagine because
I got it. I understood.
Noah's younger siblings have just learned to drive, and I can imagine if you put that very first time that his sister was behind the wheel, if she was just allowed to go, like that'd be crazy. I mean, she'd figure it out, or something would get hurt. You know,
like having 2 horses is just as scary.
Apparently not. I don't know. I wasn't living in the time, but apparently it wasn't as scary. Some states required driver's licenses in the early 1900s, but some did not. And even the states that did, it was used more for identification than education. You were not required to pass exams to acquire a license for many years. In Missouri, you had to have a license to drive in 1901, but you did not have to meet any requirements until 1952.
Ooh,
that's a long gap. That's crazy.
Man, I wish I was a street racer back then. That would have been like...
But also the cars went slower. But it would have felt so fast because you've never gone that fast
and all the
before.
cops would have been like, what is this? Speed racer? And I'm like, yeah, bro. I mean, F yeah, man.
Wow. I don't think I've cursed yet today, so strikes against Noah.
Yeah.
I've been good. Also, speed limits. The main cause of accidents and fatalities at the dawn of the automobile was speeding, which isn't really surprising. That hasn't really changed. With no regulations or rules about where to drive or park, it was chaos.
And that sucks. Even back then, they're like, can we go a little bit faster? Like, no. I'm like, come on.
Well, they let them go fast and they kept killing people.
Get out of the road.
The roads were new. People still wanted to be able to do things.
The road, it's that okay.
Connecticut was the first state to regulate speed. Well, you just say okay.
I'm just trying to figure out something to say when Connecticut came in and cut me off.
Sorry, what did you want to say?
I didn't have anything to say, but I'm just saying if I
Connecticut
could have had something.
Connecticut was the first.
I've got a C word I can use, but I'm not allowed.
We will lose viewers. People do not like that word.
Continue.
All of our female viewers will leave.
Continue. I didn't even realize I was saying it.
Connecticut was the first state to regulate speed. In cities, the limit was set to 12 miles per hour and 15 miles for rural roads, but many states didn't have any limits until the 1930s. So we need to go back to the 1920s, and there's no limits.
Oh, yeah, well, that's how Gatsby lady killed that one guy.
See? Dangerous.
Danger.
Traffic lights. So originally, a jockey was used to control the right-of-way for many intersections. I assume, yes, a jockey.
This is something you should have researched.
A man.
Okay.
Or I mean, I know it's a person. I don't think it has to be a small person.
A man.
I don't think that that's like a regulation. But a jockey was used to control the right-of-way for many intersections before traffic lights were invented.
Okay, cool. I get that.
The first electric traffic light appeared in Cleveland, Ohio in 1914. It was manually operated.
I thought nothing happens in Ohio. And look, they had the freaking laws saying stop doing anything.
Wait, but also, it was manually operated. Think of how crazy that is. It was electric, but it was manually operated by someone.
Still some guy just going...
Yeah. Like, someone had to be there to be like, okay, go.
You know, but how great would that be, though? Because how many times I'm sitting at the light and I'm like, are you kidding me? I wouldn't have to sit there and flash it, or maybe you would. The guy's just like, nope, you can't go.
Roll down the window and you're like, excuse me, sir.
Throw a rock and be like, wake up. I am trying to go. Okay, I can continue.
Seatbelts. The first seatbelt did not come around until 1959 and was made by Nils Bohlin for the VW.
Okay.
Train crossing.
Of course, you VW people trying to put safety precautions on stuff. Okay.
So, I thank you for the seatbelt, actually. I think seatbelts have saved many lives.
Wow.
So this is not something that I really thought about, but like, back in the day, train had been, most people got from here to there on train. So train crossings were very important back in the day because, trains were so common. And many accidents were caused by cars just plowing into trains.
Huh?
Like, so people would be, like, speeding down the road and not know a train was coming. And then, I mean, the car is going to lose to the train. And people would die.
You not see and hear, and then...
I mean, I still feel like there's a lot of times that I feel like people don't hear it coming. I don't know. I
guess if you're going really fast, but they're not even going that fast. They got horses.
To them, they're going really fast.
Okay.
But yeah, so this was a common thing. So Charles Adler Jr.
Thank
came
God
up
millennials did not exist back then, because we would have been hitting that thing way more often. So,
why?
I mean, I'm just saying, I know we're the ones that blow us. We're not millennials. We're the ones that blow us. There's so much negative
Gen
connotation
Z?
on
Gen Y.
Gens.
No, they're Gen Y.
Which one
Gen
are
Z?
you? I don't know.
I need to learn my generations again. I get very confused by it. Because also, they have multiple names for each one. It's a confusing thing.
Too much. But we'd all be crashing. Point is.
Charles Adler Jr. came up with the double crossing sign to prevent this. And apparently, like, that was a very important thing. That double crossing sign that we see at trains, very important. That saved, like, a ton of lives. It was a big one in the safety revolution for cars. Other mentions for things we are glad we have: safety glass, turn signals, and DUI warnings.
DUI warnings? I'm confused in this whole system here.
You could drive under the influence, so people kept being drunk behind the wheel and then killing people. So we had to regulate that and be like, you shouldn't drive drunk. But originally, you were allowed to. The oldest street legal car is the 1894 Benz Victoria. And there's this really cool YouTube video that I watched, and I'll put the link below the episode this time, because this was really fun to watch. But it shows like this really adorable older couple have the car, and they still drive it in Germany, and it shows how they operate it, because it's very different than how we operate cars today. They have to use manual indicators today to be allowed on the road, but they are allowed on the road, and it has a steering arm rather than a wheel.
Wow.
There's a lever to accelerate, and it has a foot brake and a handbrake, as well as 2 horns. The car got the first ever speeding ticket in Germany. It was going 29 kilometers an hour.
Wait, okay, I'm stuck. It's got 2 horns? Why is that so cool? It's just got 2 horns?
I mean, I don't know if that's cool or not. It's just, yes, it has like a horn that you can honk with your foot and a horn you can honk with your hand. And they have different sounds.
Weird.
But yeah, when you see it, like, the steering arm is really cool, because it's not like a wheel that you have in front of you like we have today. It's like you're just, like, sitting out in the open as if you're in a carriage.
Guy arms.
And you have, like, just to the left of you, this little, like, leather that... It kind of looks like when you're on, like, the teacups in Disney. But, like, smaller.
That's horrifying. I don't want to...
But smaller, and it has, like, a little handle.
But smaller?
Yeah, it's very small, and it has a little handle at the top. But, like, it's kind of like... Yeah, it's like a little plate-looking thing that you, like... It's funny. I'm doing something with my arm, but none of you can see it.
I don't worry. I'm not getting what she's doing, but it's...
He doesn't understand still, so it's not helpful.
A lot of butter churning.
But also, hey, the first ever speeding ticket in Germany. I thought that was pretty funny, and it's still driving on the road in Germany today. Okay. All right. So do you remember? I'm always obsessed with this like really famous internet story about that in 1895 there were only 2 cars in Ohio, and they managed to crash into each other.
What's happening in Ohio? Horrible.
Apparently.
Okay, so 2 cars, and they landed how long does it get to B?
So, like...
7 minutes.
There's, like, a famous thing. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the meme. It goes around a lot that says, like, in 1895, there were only 2 cars in Ohio. Wait, you made a joke?
I was trying to say the car gets from A to B. You said 2 trains hit into each other, or cars hit into each other. I was like, ha ha ha, funny. Okay, our car A to B. I don't know.
Still don't get it.
It's just because school. That's what happens in schools. They tell you about the time. Like it was like, you're gonna give me a riddle.
Oh, like a question. Yeah. Like if Nancy was going 75 miles per hour.
I should have put Nancy in. You would have gotten it.
Yeah, I needed Nancy.
Okay.
Nancy would have helped.
Okay, duly noted for next time. Continuing with the trains.
So, the cars. We're talking about cars. We have a car show. It's not a train show.
I don't know. So many people running
into... What's going on with you?
So many people running into trains. I feel so bad for them.
So, apparently there were only 2 cars in the road in Ohio in 1895, and they crashed into each other. And, like, I feel like this meme is used often to be like, hey, anything can happen, or like, so unlikely. Like, I feel like I even used it as an example, and I can't remember what happened, but I feel like I used it as an example with you once. I was like, see, anything can happen. Well...
Who's to say they weren't just, like, doing, like, what is it called?
Drag race?
Oh, they were drifting.
They were chasing each other. They were drifting in the old car. I don't know if old cars drifted.
Yeah,
I don't think it's good if you start drifting in the very old
Why
ones.
can't I think what they're called? Where the people are on the asphalt doing all the and getting hit, all the people.
Bumper cars?
No. This is in real life and it's illegal. Takeover, where they like drive around and lose their bumpers.
I don't think it was a 2-car takeover, but
there was like 2-car takeover
in Ohio,
and they said, "Oh, we just
in 1895
accidentally hit each other." In reality, they were like, "Let's go, bro, birds of rubber."
I don't know. They could have been like, "What?" Well, apparently, and this made me sad. This story is probably fake.
Bunch of people painting out there trying to see, like, instead of pictures taken it, they're like sitting out there painting.
Noah's so into his joke that he didn't hear the bombshell I just dropped.
A bunch of people painting watercolors. You got chalk. Some guy. She's
I've lost the joke again. I don't even know where we are.
I don't know. What did you say? What did you say?
So this story is not real.
Oh yeah, I got that part. It was not.
Or it may have been fabricated.
I thought my thing was funnier, so I continued with mine.
Because though you can find a lot about it on the internet, nothing seems factual. There were more than 2 cars on the road in that year, so strike one. And
you picked Ohio. Nothing happens in Ohio. We knew it.
Every time you look up this story or
Fake
meme,
story.
They use different pictures of different cars. So that's strike 2.
Yeah. One's a Porsche, one's like...
Though, the first
Reptar.
recorded accident did seem to happen in Ohio in 1891. A driver named James Lambert drove over a tree root and crashed into a hitching post. It's the tree root's fault. As are all accidents. They're always the tree root's fault.
Does that tree root get charged with G-root walking? No?
Well, that brings us to the end of our episode.
Thank you for tuning in. You get it? We are here with jokes all the time, guys. That marks 18 minutes and 20 seconds, which really should have been longer, so we're going to have to add in some things, some sounds, some Charlie, I bit my finger. I hope that's not trademarked or copied, right? As long as it's not a British accent, so we're fine. Thank you guys for tuning in. I don't know what China brought to me today, so again, this is all just information that I don't know.
Yes, I try to find things about cars that I would like to learn and see if no one knew any of them. We will get into more modern stuff, but since we're just starting, it's funny. When I was looking this stuff up, I was like, I don't know if safety is interesting, but I thought it was really, I'd never thought about that before, like a world without turn signals or speeding tickets or, and that does sound like chaos. Like when they describe the scene of the people getting like just chaos, because people would use like streetcars, so they'd be waiting for the streetcar, and then a car would just slam into a group of people and kill them.
All right,
that's kind of crazy. Like, think about living in that world.
I had ball pits as a kid. You never knew what you were going to find in those things. Needles, a
totally
person hanging out at the bottom
mostly
there.
pee. It was mostly
waiting. Urine, exactly. Terrifying stuff.
I don't know.
And then GMOs in the McDonald's waiting for you. That gets you years later. Some scary stuff. Scary. Ooh, it's Halloween almost. It's September. So,
and we'll do a special Halloween episode. I'm excited about that. We'll talk about haunted cars.
Yes, we will. Follow us on follow us on Instagram at exhausted_707. We are going to be soon bringing you more fun things to do. It's mostly podcasts.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok and all the places. You can find us under Exhausted707 or Exhausted_707 on everything. Please write into us, whether it be on Instagram or
let me know how your day's going.
Email, and just...
COVID. Bored sometimes.
And just let us know what you'd like to hear, what we could talk about, what your favorite cars are. Just start a dialogue.
New soup recipes. China doesn't like soup, so I'm going to eat that in front of her. So.
And once again, thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, we already said that. All right, bye. How do I press record stop? There you go. Boom.